Good morning. So today we are having in front of us author Rajesh Talwar sir. Once again, we are back with author Rajesh, and today we are going to discuss about his book, The Boy Who Wrote a Constitution. Can you all see the book over here? So this is the book. The book is written in a play format for children on human rights. So before I go on to the book, discussing about what is the book all about, and you all have got the hint about who wrote the constitution, so about whom we are going to speak and about which character, which social reformer we are going to discuss in this book. So stay tuned for that. Before going on that, so please quickly introduce yourself to all the viewers.
Hi, Tanmeen. It's nice to be with you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, this is one of my 37 books, and it's very close to me. Uh, of course, I've worked in the UN for many years. I continue to work for them. So I have a background in human rights, but literature is my passion. And I really enjoyed writing this book. I hope to see it enacted soon.
Yes. As soon as I read that book, the first thing which stuck and came in my mind is that, this book can be enacted as a play. A good book to be enacted as a play in schools, or, a perfect script for enacting a play in any of the, like local dramas nowadays, people do on the roads and all that sides. That can be also done because it gives us all about the life of Dr. Ambedkar, which we have not yet studied in our books or, in our school timings. We have touched his life from his young age to his teenage, how he was kept away from the society because he was a Dalit. So,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. In fact, I was talking to a school teacher, school principal, and I said that one of the things you can do in the play is that if you know that which is the Dalit boy, you make him the Brahmin, and you make the Brahmin the Dalit, and you make the Muslim the Hindu, you make the Hindu the Muslim, so that the children, when they are playing other identities, that will also make them realize they will be able to identify more. So that can be a process of growth for the children, even while enacting the play. So there are three ways. First, of course, the people who perform the play, they will be transformed. Then the people who are watching the play, they will be transformed. And then even the teachers, because we have caste prejudice even amongst teachers. So even the teachers, they will also be transformed. And this is why I thought rather than just do a story, a children's story on Ambedkar's childhood and his life, it makes more sense to do a play. And I have to tell you, Tanmeen, that the response was terrific. My publisher is already saying that we should take out translations in Hindi and maybe Marathi, because of course Ambedkar was Marathi.
yes.
But so it's been a very encouraging response.
I must say that's a very good idea given to the school principal because then only kids of this generation, I must say, they will understand the caste system. Because what has happened, it's all up to the upbringing, whatever is imbibed in the kids from their home. That we are of Hindu caste, we are of Muslim, you should follow this, you should follow that religion, you should worship this God. But no one teaches their kids that we all are one. We all are from India and we have a country where there is unity in diversity. And because of that, when the kids grow up, this riots happen, which is happening now in Russia and UK everywhere.
Well, this is the thing that, Ambedkar, he discovers, of course, in school, it's very important these days. They talk about bullying, that we must campaign against bullying. School children bully each other. That's why I think Ambedkar's life is very inspirational,
Yes.
because he didn't even have a chair to sit on in school. He used to sit on a piece of cloth at the back of the class, and he fought against all those odds. He couldn't open the tap and drink water. The PN had to come because he was untouchable. They said, you will pollute the tap if you touch the tap. The PN had to come and open the tap, and only then could he drink water. And he writes in his autobiography, this meant no pain, no water. So these were the odds against which Dr. Ambedkar struggled as a child. So on the one hand, it teaches children that they should resist bullying. On the other hand, it's very inspirational. And you can tell children, or the children can realize it themselves, that what are our difficulties compared to Ambedkar's, and look how he fought and he overcame those difficulties to become such a great leader and the chief draftsman, the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution of India.
That's really true. And the way he promised himself that he will work against all the discrimination going on in the country in the name of caste system, because he had faced a lot of problems in his childhood. And that's really bad, because yes, still now the practice is going on. People don't understand that even they are a even that if the other person is Dalit, he or she is a human being. Why we should keep themselves away from the society? We should treat them equally.
Absolutely, this is the sad thing. When Dalit Mahatma Gandhi, he became famous because of a train journey. One of the train journeys he undertook, he became very famous because he was thrown out of the train in South Africa. And then he said, I'm not going to allow this discrimination to happen against Indians. And he started his campaign. But there is another train journey which Ambedkar goes, which people don't know about. Ambedkar is supposed to travel to see his father, who is in Koregaon, and the train lands up in Masoor railway station. He's there with his brothers and his sister. They wait for the father, but the father has not got their telegram. So then they wait for some time, and then they think, let's take a tanga. That was the way of transport in those times. So they go out, the station master comes to them and he says, you should take a tanga because it will then become too late. And they call the tanga walas, but when the tanga walas realize that these are mahars, which is the untouchable caste, they said, oh, we cannot take you because we will get polluted. You are untouchable. And Ambedkar says they needed the money. Okay. So we offered them twice, that instead of 1 anna, we will give you 2 annas. Still they refused. But the station master was a good guy. He said, listen, we have to find some way. And he says, ask Ambedkar, do you know how to drive a tanga? He says, yes, I know how to drive. So then he suggests to the tanga wala that, listen, this boy will drive the tanga and you can run along the tanga. And finally, this is the compromise. So when we were thinking about the cover for this play, I was thinking that one of the covers could be that there is a bullock cart going, which Ambedkar is driving, and the Tangawala is going, alongside. But finally, we settled on this. But, can you imagine this was the kind of discrimination in those days, which he had to overcome as a child. And this is not all. When he comes back, he is sent by the Maharaja of Baroda to study at Columbia University. So he goes to Columbia University, does his PhD there, and then he goes to London School of Economics and he does, I think, a double PhD. So he's probably the most educated politician in our country at that time. Nehru, Gandhi, they cannot compare with the level of education of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. But when he comes back, again, he encounters discrimination. And he says, overseas in the United States, I did not face discrimination. In England and the London School of Economics, I didn't face discrimination. Here in my own country, I am facing discrimination. This state of affairs cannot be allowed to continue. I have to dedicate my life to remove this discrimination.
That is the thing which is happening still in India, and people, they prefer to go outside and settle down there.
This is the sad thing. And when Ambedkar comes back, he discovers a very painful truth. He goes to Baroda because he has agreement with the Maharaja of Baroda. The Maharaja of Baroda gave him the scholarship. So the agreement was that when he finishes his studies, he will come to work for the Maharaja. Of course, he could have broken his promise, but he was a very honorable person, so he goes back to Baroda.
Yes.
Now in Baroda, he doesn't get official accommodation in the beginning. And because of that, he decides to stay in a Parsi lodging house. Because at that time, all the hotels, the Hindu hotels may not allow him to stay. So he stays in this Parsi lodging house. But after 2 days, when the Parsis come to know he is a Dalit, they all come with lathis outside his house, outside his room. And they say, oh, you came as a Dalit. You are not a Parsi. You have to leave. He says, then I realized that Parsis also are against Dalits. They also practice untouchability. Then he goes to a Hindu friend's house. Okay, can I stay there for a few days till I get my official accommodation? And the Hindu friend says, you know, my cook, he is a very high caste Kanyakubj Brahmin. I'm sorry, because then if the cook does not cook, how will we manage?
Correct.
Then he goes to a Christian friend's house. Okay, can I stay with you for a few days? And the Christian says, you are most welcome, Baba Sahab. But you know, my wife, she's also a Christian, but she was a Brahmin before she became Christian. And therefore, she has all those prejudices of the Brahmin.
Okay.
And she may be very unhappy. Oh, Baba Sahab says, thank you very much. I will find some other place to stay. So Baba Sahab, and he mentions another incident when he goes to Daulatabad Fort. He goes there, that was part of the Nizam's area. He's going there on a tour. And before they climb up to the fort with all his friends, there is a water tank, you know, just where you can wash your face and wash your hands because you've had a long bus journey, you are tired. So he goes there and he starts to wash his face and hands, and then the Muslims come. A long bearded, white bearded man comes and says, you are there. How dare you drink this water? And Baba Sahib says, if we become Muslim, will you still say this? So the Muslims are silenced. But Baba Sahib says, I feel so sad. I'm in my own country and I find the Parsis, they practice untouchability. I went to the Hindu friend, they of course practice untouchability. Then I go to the Christian, they also practice untouchability. And then today I find even the Muslims practice untouchability. And I think the story actually does not end there. Every community, even the Sikhs practice untouchability. So what a shameful thing. You know, this is a blot. I am a Hindu myself, but I feel that there are people who practice untouchability. They do a great disservice to Hinduism. They don't realize what a crime they are committing. They are committing a crime against their nation. They are committing a crime against their religion. And they are giving a bad name to Hinduism across the world, because Hinduism is a great religion, but this evil of caste discrimination, you have to throw it out, and only then can it, come up in its full glory. So his life is very inspirational. It's very sad also. I hope that the new generation, and this is why the book is there, for the new generation.
And here I come up with the question: why do you have written so many books on freedom fighters, social reformers, and that too based on kids and for children? Previously you have written 5 books. So why do you think of writing books for children based on social reformers, based on freedom fighters, and that too, touching the point of their childhood, their young generation, and then bringing for this generation?
A good question, Tanmeen. It's partly because when I was in school, the history that was taught to me was terrible. This was very bad history that was taught. We just had to mug up all the dates, when the king was born, when the king was died, And then when I went to college, instead of improving, the history became worse. We have very famous people, historians like Bipin Chandra, Romila Thapar, who are very famous, but their history books were unreadable because they were lifeless. There was also a domination of the communist historians, and they all talked only about processes. They ignored the actual, individual characters, the people who were. So I wanted to make a history of people and events which children could relate to so that they don't suffer as I suffered.
Yes, I can understand. It's not only you as a I, but there are many as a I, those who are, through this stage and want to bring some or the other difference, but they cannot because they don't hold that position. Like you are an author, somewhere or the other, another man might be also thinking that what I suffered, what I was taught in the school, I should bring some changes in this generation. But they don't, they cannot do that. No one has that pull to do that if they are not on a good position or something. But yes, I can say to all the viewers over here, you can start it yourself from your home. Give values to your children, read these books out, and bring small differences in your children on the values. Show them how these freedom fighters, the social reformers have suffered so much and come up through a stage where now people are remembering them, celebrating a day on the name of them. Things take a turn, and you don't know when you reach to a stage from a Dalit. He is now called as Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and we celebrate, day on his on 14th is Ambedkar Jayanti is also being celebrated. So we should teach kids these small things because nowadays what is happening, and I should also say that after this COVID wave and all, kids think they get very demotivated, they get very angry, they get very stubborn. They think that whatever we are doing, this will not be fruitful. They leave that work and they don't even think of again mugging up or trying to do that work again. If it is left, it is left. But these people, if they thought of doing something, they did and they brought a change in the society. But yes, who knows? They went, but people are the same. People again brought those things, people again brought those discriminations. So it is all about people, not about government and not about Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar or Rabindranath Tagore or anyone. It is all about people. We need to bring change within ourselves.
True, 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 true.
Because this we have seen. I am also a teacher, and I'll tell you, I am a social science teacher. So I really see the change. What we studied in school, people and we students used to call history is a mystery. That was the day time and the words we used to describe that. As soon as the social science teacher used to come, we used to say, now the period is gone, 40 minutes, 45 minutes are gone. But when I came into this field and I became a social science teacher, I really thought that I will really bring a change and I'll make the kids love social science subject. And I'm not boasting myself, but I'm proud of myself that my kids really loved that subject because I didn't stuck to the book. I went beyond the books and brought many such things for them, which we need to bring for today's generation, and what author Rajesh is doing through his books. It takes a lot of time, lot of dedication to write such books. Lot of things are to be evolved inside a author when he goes and write this book, because he goes through many such things. He read many realities of those people. So how was
Yes,
your journey? Yes, sir, please.
yes, you're right. You're right. Tanmeen, actually, Amitabh Bachchan said some time ago, he said that all writers, because his father was a writer,
Yes,
he said all writers are also actors,
agree.
unless because when they go into a character. So when I was reading about Ambedkar and when I was writing about him as a child, then I was also suffering, you know. I was also feeling like I'm facing the discrimination. So, uh, so in that sense, it's a painful journey uh, when you write about such powerful characters, about their suffering. Salman Rushdie, I think he wrote some book and which had some sections about a Kashmiri Pandit in near Srinagar. And he says every time I started writing, I would start crying. So we writers also, we get invested in our characters, we get emotionally involved in our characters. And so the journey is one of research, but it's also it's a very emotional journey. Uh,
May
Yes.
it be fictional books, may it be non-fictional books, anything, the author has to, convert himself or, behave the way when you are writing that character, you step into the shoes of that character and the feelings and the emotions come out. It really comes out that if we would have been born in that time, maybe I would have brought that change. It really comes out from inside. And I
Sure,
really
sure.
wish that this children of this generation who read this book, they also bring that change. And I really feel and look forward that somewhere or the other, kids go and enact this into a play, because the way you have written this, it is into a play format. If everyone can see here, it is into a play format, so it would be very easy for a school teacher or a school principal, anyone, or a college students also, to enact this into a play. You just need to grasp the characters and just read the sentences and the words given over there, and you are going to present a beautiful play out of it. So coming back,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Please say.
No, thank you for saying that, Tanveen, because I also feel that whether it's adult plays or children's plays, they are keep on showing the same old plays. Even when I go to London sometimes, when I go to Leicester Square, they are showing those plays which have been running for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Come on, those plays were excellent, but let's have plays which are more relevant to contemporary life.
Yes,
Um, so uh, it's okay, you can enact William Shakespeare. Those are great plays, those are classics. But let's also, we don't have to do only Shakespeare. Let's also enact something which is more relevant, more contemporary, which touches our daily lives.
totally agreed. Totally agreed with that. So, what message does Ambedkar's life hold for children?
I think uh, it has many messages, but one of the important messages is when children face bullying in school, they should think, I am having a problem with bullying. Think of Ambedkar. He couldn't have a chair to sit on. He was sitting at the back of the class on a piece of cloth. He couldn't drink water from the school tap. He fought against those odds. I can do better. I can face up to bullying. I can become a fighter. I can fight against discrimination. It can be an inspiring tale.
Very well said. So, what is your thoughts on discrimination and caste system and all this?
It's really terrible because India, our economic growth is going up,
Yes,
but until we get rid of our social problems, Ambedkar said very correctly, he said, the life of a social reformer is sometimes more difficult than that of a political reformer.
yes,
Because until you change the society, remove the prejudices of society, what is the point of getting a high GDP? It's like if you're a very wealthy family, for
yes.
example. You're a millionaire family, but your family is dysfunctional. The father doesn't respect the son abuses the father, the children are quarreling, the wife and the husband, they are also throwing things at each other. They might be rich. The same way I will say, if your country, if India, GDP is not the only measure. It's very important. Of course, you need money. Of course, you need to be powerful. But we are like a family in this country. We need to treat each other with love. We need to live with love and mutual respect. And until we do that, that will make our economic progress also more meaningful. And also, if we live like that, that will make the chances of making economic progress also more. People discuss their problems, they help each other. So one hopes this can happen.
As it is said by Dr. Ambedkar, very popular slogan, life should be great rather than long. People should, follow this slogan and follow the path of this slogan, I must say. Because if it is great, you are doing great deeds towards your country, towards your people, especially towards your children, then only you will feel that the life is long and what life you have been given, it's really fruitful. If you will keep on, behind those things, no, we are Muslims, we need to hide our girls inside the house, we should not go and sit in the Hindu temple. Such things still happen. So that is bad.
I think also, if you ask me, what lesson does Ambedkar give for contemporary politics? He says one very important thing. He says hero worshipping is very good for religion, but he says for politics, it's not good. And I think what Ambedkar is saying as a lesson at two levels. One is if we can get rid of all the chamchagiri in our politics, because all our politics is about chamchagiri. And the
Agree.
second thing is what Ambedkar is saying is that even if somebody is very good, don't hero worship him. Keep your critical mindset, because the hero worship should only be for your religion, for whom you worship. But don't make a human being somebody to worship. Human beings are only human beings. And he said, I worry that this tendency, both of chamchagiri and worshipping the leader, this is going to cost us in politics. Let's treat our leaders with respect, but let's not deify them. And let's get rid of all this chamchagiri, because then we can stand as equals, and we progress as a nation.
I was going to ask this question, but good you covered that. And based upon this question, I would like to say cultivation of mind should be ultimate aim of human existence.
Yes, I mean, if they used to say this about one of the Haryana chief ministers. I won't mention his name, but they say that when he used to go to the field, he was so commercial minded that he only saw the crop and he would be judging the value of the crop. But if there was a beautiful sunset happening behind the crop, he would not see that sunset. So the problem is, if you are only seeing the sunset, that is also not good. But if you are only commercially minded, if you don't cultivate your mind, if you don't see what is beautiful in nature, what is beautiful in art, what is beautiful in literature, you are leading a very limited kind of life. And I agree with you. And education has probably one of its main goals is to teach children how to cultivate their minds, how to develop appreciation.
Yes. And, you know, before I wrap up with this session, I would like to say to the audience that this is a very inspiring book, and many such books are been written by author Rajesh Talwar. So please go and grab your copies on Amazon. It's available over there in paperback and Kindle format. And as it is very well said by Dr. Ambedkar, we must stand on our feet and fight as best as we can for our rights. So carry on your own agitation and organize your forces. Power and prestige will come to you through struggle. And that is what I really like in this book, which Sir has also covered such things which will really touch the life of today's children and also to the the adults, those who don't know about Baba Sahib's life. So this is a very well book written for children and especially parents. Please go and grab these copies. Your kids, some or the other values will be added in their life if you will read this book aloud for them. It can be the best book for bedtime for your kids too.
Thanks, Tanmeen. And I look forward to more sessions with you.
Yes.
It was very nice to spend some time discussing this book with you, and look forward to our next encounter.
Yes, sir. Likewise. And before we wrap up, would you like to say any words from Dr. Ambedkar's life to the viewers?
Well, I will just say that uh, in a way, Dr. Ambedkar was like a force of nature, given that his background, his suffering, uh, the way he came up. In fact, I'm working on a a subsequent book, which will be on Subhash Bose, and I see some parallels in their character. Subhash Bose, when he went to Burma, he met the uh, prime minister there. The prime minister of Burma at the time, which had been captured by the Japanese, whom Bose met. When he met Bose, he describes Bose in the following terms. He says, it was as if I was not speaking to a person. I was interacting with a force of nature. He says it was something which was beyond, which was very powerful, which was coming from somewhere, a very, very strong spiritual force. So although Ambedkar says very rightly, we should look at our leaders critically,
Yes.
But all these great leaders, be it Tagore, be it Bose, be it Ambedkar, they all actually summon up some spiritual energy, which is why they managed to have such a tremendous impact.
Agreed.
When Bose made his statement, uh, come and follow me, there were women in Malaysia, women in Singapore. They sold off their jewelry and they said, we want to be part of the freedom struggle. And the same way, Ambedkar, when he did his satyagraha, there was a water tank where Dalits were not supposed to use that water for centuries, ever since the discrimination started. So he went with his people and he drank from there. That was a true spiritual event and something which resonates till today. The Dalit community celebrates it, a great symbolic event. So let's remember him for what he did. Let's not deify him. He was an ordinary mortal, and that's what he would himself have liked. We can think of even Ambedkar critically, but his contributions are immense.
Agreed. And, waiting for more such books from you. Keep writing such motivational books of freedom fighters, social reformers for today's generation children. You are really doing a great job, sir. And please keep on writing that. Not five, not six, but write more and more and more books so that some of the other changes are brought in this generation children. And looking forward for more such sessions in future.
Thank you, Tanmeen, and we'll be together very soon again.
Yes,
Enjoy
sir.
your new surroundings.
Yes.
I think you are closer to nature and your new location.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
It's very,
so
very near. So, yes, sir, it was a really wonderful time hosting you. And it's always a pleasure to come here and discuss about your book because you are incredible in your writing. So, I wish you all the very best for all your future projects and all the books which you are going to bring very soon and which you have brought previously. Thank you so much, sir, for being here and
thank you,
sparing your
Tanmeen.
time. Take care,
Thank you.
sir. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye.